Hey, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing another video that I didn't think I'd do. Just kind of encore presentation of me today, I guess, for these videos. Um, I have 3 days off, so I'm just trying to do a lot of stuff, especially having moved in my new apartment here. So this one's going to be about a different subject, obviously, than I've been talking about for the past 10 months or so, or what was it, 8 months. Obviously, I said I would branch out because I'm getting kind of burnt out on feeding the pendulum as the people that are into reality transurfing. That weird book from a few years ago that I actually bought in February, I believe. It's an interesting book. But anyways, that's not what this video is about. This video is about the show Supernatural. It's my second video to do with that show and the ending that happened. So there were a few misstatements in that video I did, when I was driving. I said I mixed up the season and series finales. So this is just kind of a extrapolation on what some thoughts on the final episodes, the two final episodes that happened. So for one, if I were the showrunner of season 20, what I would have done is as follows. So I would have, this is just what I would do. Episode 19, I would have made the final series finale. And I would have made it so there was no more like maybe there would be no more supernatural monsters to fight at the end, but maybe there's a cliffhanger because something else happened. Um, I would have put that as episode 20, episode which was episode 19. I would have made that 20, and I would have made episode 20 19, and I would have done something similar to that, but it was a Jinn controlling and showing Dean and Sam what happened. But the Jinn, maybe they could have tied it into actually being somewhat reality with what happened with Heaven somehow. Maybe he did die, but came back. And then they would have gone on and, you know, episode 19 where it's a happy ending. I mean, I'm not saying it has to be, and it was kind of a happy ending, but it just would have been more satisfying for them just to go on and try to live their lives normally. Both of them actually live their lives normally in a non or a world that maybe not be as supernatural. It would have been kind of more interesting, but then have a little bit like like the little cliffhanger at the end, like oh well, things are still not as they seem, so they can come back and do more adventures. So that's one thing that bothered me. I just thought it was a shitty way to end the series. I don't agree with all the flack they're getting, the actors and stuff. It's not their fault. I think Jensen Ackles actually expressed some doubts at the ending, as far as I know. I mean, if I were him, if I did have doubts about it, I would come out just like Mark Hamill did after was it the Last Jedi, and just like say all this passive aggressive stuff about the movie. It would have been hilarious if he did that. But he has other priorities right now. But it's got me thinking also. Eric Kripke apparently came out and said that he would have had a different he had a different ending for the series in mind if he would have been the writer of the final episode, and that gave me a great idea. Um, I think we should try to write to Eric Kripke and have him do a comic, a graphic novel, or a limited series of this alternate ending of Supernatural. I think that would be fucking fantastic. And there's been like comic continuations like the series Jericho went on in comics. Bob Gale, Back to the Future fame, has written a comic that continued the adventures of Back to the Future. Um, the writer of the original V, not V for Vendetta, but the series V from the 80s, which is about aliens, came up with a novel that was a sequel to the series that was originally actually kind of ignored. I believe, as I haven't read it yet, but I did get it several years ago. I think it ignored some of the actual series that came out. So, like, we can do these people that are, charges these franchise or that start these franchises could always. And this has happened before. Like some movie will come out that's like a reboot that ignores the other bad movies or bad series or seasons or whatever. So this always happens to a lot of these people that come out with stuff. So Kripke could come out and do like what he would have done for the final season or final episodes of Supernatural, and I think that would be fucking fantastic. And I guess it's supposed to be a lot darker, which I think would be refreshing. Because I think part of the problem with episode 20 was it was sappy, but it was not sappy enough in a certain way, but it was too sappy in other ways, and it was dark, but not dark enough. I don't know if I can describe this. These elements were just out of, I think it was out of balance, you know? And it reminded me a lot. Unfortunately, the episode reminded me of something they would do in Walking Dead with the death of Dean. It's like, oh, Dean died. Oh, we're going to have this little sequence. It's like, it just seemed like all of a sudden, you know, out of the blue, but like tragic, but like just not tragic in the right way. It was very anticlimactic, I think is the word I used. It was lame. It was just lame. I thought it was a fucking, it was a disaster, you know, like I said. And all I needed was a couple more scenes filmed where they do something a little different and switch the two episodes. I think that would have been fantastic. You know, there was something in one of the special that came out, which I didn't see, unfortunately, because I only saw the final episode. I would like to watch the special. There was like a little clip where they're driving this car and there's like this screen that's supposed to be the background. I guess it was one of the special effects. I thought that was going to be like the final part of this episode. Like it's all like it was all not real all along. It was always a show. Like the meta, because they did some meta stuff over the years, like the episode where they meet themselves as actors and stuff. That would have been kind of cool as an ending. I thought that I would have done something like that, something more meta or something like that, or something like I described. So that's about all. We should try to write Eric Kripke and get him to write a comic graphic novel of what he would have done, or even a novel, for Christ's sake. You know, he would have done. Maybe, I don't think a novel would be on his agenda because he's doing The Boys and stuff, which Jensen Ackles is part of now, which is pretty cool. And I think other people are from Supernatural are part of that show too. I mean, could be like, let's say, Walker Texas Ranger, the reboot with Jared Padalecki bombs, which I'm not saying it will, I'm not saying it should, I'm just saying, let's say that bombs, get him on the show, The Boys, and fucking, you know, or do some other show with those two, you know, just like do a movie with them, or do like a Misha Collins in there too. Do like a new show with them, like down the road, you know, where maybe they're not the supernatural characters, but they're kind of close or similar in some ways. You know, like reminds me of like the movie War in the Roses back in the early 90s. It had Kathleen Turner, Michael Douglas, and Danny DeVito, but it wasn't Romancing the Stone related. But, you know, it was the same actors. It was pretty cool, you know? They should do something like that with the supernatural guys. That would be really cool, you know? Do something different with them, but do something has a hint of that in there, but it's not supernatural even, maybe, or, you know, maybe make them like do like a fucking like on the road type of movie, and it's in an Impala, but it's not, I don't know. I'm just coming up with these ideas. But anyway, or like some Beatnik era thing where they're just like playing these characters. I don't fucking know, but just, you know, I think that they deserve more. They deserve more. The franchise deserves more. The show deserves more. The ending sucked. It was you know, I haven't watched Game of Thrones, but from what I've heard about the final episode, final season, it was a calamity on that level with what they did to the franchise, in my opinion. Some people are saying it ruined the rest of the show. I'm just like, it doesn't have to ruin the rest of the show. Some people don't even watch beyond season 5. They're like, oh, fuck Supernatural after season 5. That was lame. That was a true ending. Because Kripke actually jumped ship after that, other than like some consultation, maybe some episodes he wrote. I can't remember. But I was going to stop watching after season 7. Season 7, as I said, because originally when I saw a lot of season 7, I thought it was lame. But then, like, the last couple months, I got into the Leviathan thing. I thought it was pretty cool because seems like some of what's going on sometimes it's a little eerily familiar with that with that season. No, I don't know, but like I'm up to like season 10 or 11 now. But you know, it's not going to ruin it. It's not going to ruin my perception of those seasons or anything. I mean, they've died and come back so many times. They can weave some type of Jin type of thing if they did want to reboot or come back someday. Like it was all a Jin. Sam didn't grow old and Dean didn't die in the from a fucking nail or whatever, but and they could do a lot of stuff. It's supernatural after a lot. They bring people back all the time. Nothing ever really ends, as Chuck once said, you know. But that's all.